friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and today we are going to do a autumn landscape that has reflections on a lake. So the first thing that we're going to do is start by wetting our paper completely, and I'm adding in some of the sky blue color. You could use any blue. A little bit of warmth of the sunset. This is kind of a hazy scene. I really love this reference photo. So since there's going to be a reflection on the lake, we're going to add those same colors to the lake. So I'm adding the reflections of my tree trunk, and I'm starting off with my lightest colors of the trees. I'm using some raw sienna for this. And for the browns, I did use some burnt umber, Van Dyke brown, and some sepia. I'm lifting up with a clean brush some areas in the reflections on the water. Now my paper is still wet, so I'm adding in those mountains in the background, and it just looks really soft and misty and pretty. So I'm coming into like my mid-ground layer, and I really love the shadow green. It's still really muted and it's still real pretty for the background, adding in a little punches of brown there as well. I'm building up my colors slowly. I would rather be safe and try to build up these values in a methodical way than going too dark too fast, and then it's really hard to get control of your painting back after that. So painting in the autumn trees is a lot of fun. I use a very wet brush and I just do meandering lines, and then you can take brighter colors of your autumn colors of your choice and drop them in the wet paint. In this tree, I'm gonna mix orange with green, and I'm gonna let them mingle on the paper. This is so much more effective. This turns out so much better than us trying to mix it in the palette, and just let watercolor do what it does on the paper, and it just turns out so pretty. So with the green tree, I am varying my colors so that it's not boring. So I'm going into some browns. Also, of course, there are some shadows in between the trees, and so those browns become really important to drop in there as well. If we squint at our reference photo, you'll see that the value on that left-hand side is pretty dark, and I'm working at it. I'm working at getting darker, but I just don't want to do too much too quickly. With the reflections, I'm adding in the greens, the browns, the yellows, all those colors that I did on the trees, I'm adding in the lake. So once that dries, I'm adding in my tree trunks and some branches. So this would be a cute painting, guys, all on its own. I'm upping my colors a little bit, adding a second layer because it's pretty muted and it's almost looks like the ugly stage, but with just a little bit extra color, little punches of color, adding in those mountain backgrounds a little bit more. This is what I'm left with. Now I could stop there, but you know what? What's one more layer? I kind of wanted a little bit more punch of color. So you let me know what you like best in the comments below. If you think that I should have stopped while I was ahead, or if you like the darker colors that I went with. So what I'm doing here with my brush is I'm trying to separate the bristles even more. This is hog hair. These are natural bristles that I'm using, which the squirrel hair did not really work out as well because once you wet it, it just becomes one big clump and you don't get that definition as much. But you know, I'm experimenting. I'm always trying new ways to add texture. And with a drier brush, when you separate the bristles like that by just kind of messing it up to the furl, obviously I'm not going to do this with like really good brushes that you want to keep a really firm snap to, but brushes that you don't use very much. Like I don't use these brushes very much. I think I got this when I was in college, when I was a student in art school. So you know, that's, you just have to explore, right? And you have to see, try new things. Maybe you'll come up with a brand new method that everybody will think is like super cool, right? So that's just me exploring. I am now taking a script liner brush and I'm doing some dry brushing. There is quite a bit of dry brushing on the lake and I'm trying to add that texture in there. I dried up my paper a little bit so that I could re-enter in the tree trunks. I kind of lost that because when your paper's that wet and the tree trunks kind of just disappeared on me. So we're getting that definition. This is in the foreground, so you do want to see tree trunks. You want this to be a little bit more in focus. So I'm just getting those back in there. It's also very handy to keep a tissue paper by. You can dab it if things get a little too dark for you. Just take your tissue paper. It's almost like erasing it. When you use your script liner brush on an angle like I am, you'll get a really cool, very nice dry brushing effect. I'm adding in all those things. Now, as my paper's drying, I'm seeing that orange is not as orange as I would like it to be. And so I'm trying to add in a little bit more punch of color. God, I just, you know, I just love vibrancy. I can't, you know, I can't help myself. So I'm always trying to find ways of adding more punches of color. So with a little spritz of your water bottle, it does wonders to spread that paint a little bit. And that's it. What do you guys think? Should I have stopped at that second stage, or do you like that I added more detail? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week.